You just made it home. Barely. The commute was the usual performance art. Traffic, deadlines, a driver in front of you who apparently had nowhere to be, and all the time in the world to get there. You're tired. Not dramatic fainting on the chaise tired, just regular, late capitalism tired. You kick off your shoes and assess the fridge. There's something vaguely edible left in a takeout box, so you make the executive decision to microwave it into submission. You eat standing up, fork in one hand, phone in the other, liking a video of a sheep falling off a rock. It's soothing, in a mildly alarming way. You think about the emails you didn't answer. Then you think about not thinking about them. That's better. You make it to the couch. Cue up a sleepy YouTube video. Something long and slow and vaguely British. Maybe a man walking through fog talking about rivets. You don't know. You're not really listening. The sound of kettle steam and the soft clink of porcelain starts to melt your brain in the nicest way. Blanket. Couch. A slow exhale. You shut your eyes. Just for a minute. And then you blink. You open your eyes expecting the ceiling fan, the soft hum of the fridge, maybe the glow of your phone charging on the nightstand. Instead, it's brown. The ceiling, just brown. Flaking plaster, a gas lamp hanging like it wants to fall. And the heavy, wool-scented quiet of a room that definitely belongs to a person who says hark. Unironically, your body is wrong. Not injured, just dressed in someone else's life. A nightshirt, rough at the collar, clinging slightly with sweat. You sit up and the bed creaks like it's filing a complaint. The mattress is lumpy. The blanket smells faintly of coal smoke and boiled laundry. And the window has shutters. Wooden ones. Outside a bell rings. A church maybe, or a school. It's hard to think, because the air is cold and sharp and filled with the unmistakable sound of a horse pulling something heavy over cobblestones. You don't hear traffic, no sirens, no podcasts, no upstairs neighbors arguing about recycling. You reach for your phone. It's not there, obviously. Panic tiptoes in. You breathe. Slowly. Logically, this makes no sense. You went to sleep. On your couch. After some noodles and a TikTok rabbit hole. You were just watching a history video. And now, you stumble toward a cracked mirror. And that's when it gets worse. Because the face looking back isn't just you. It's you. Victorianized. Hair parted like someone took a ruler to it. Paler. Slightly grimy, and wearing somehow a full nightshirt with buttons that you don't remember putting on. You blink. Victorian. You blinks. It's weird. Too weird. There's a knock on the door. A voice. Familiar but strange. You'll be late again if you don't come down. Someone knows you, or thinks they do. And you, whatever you this is now, apparently have somewhere to be. You take one last look in the mirror, breathe in the cold, dusty air, and start to realize you're not just in the past. You might be expected in the past. Whatever this is, you'll have to go along with it, at least for now. You approach the washstand like it might explain something. It doesn't. It's just a pitcher, a basin, and a cloth that looks like it moonlights as sandpaper. You stare at it for a moment, hoping maybe there's a secret lever, or a Wi-Fi signal, or literally any sign you're hallucinating. No such luck. You pour the water into the bowl. It sloshes out slower than you'd expect. thicker somehow, with the weight of this is your life now. It's cold, unapologetically cold. You splash your face and immediately regret everything. The chill is sharp enough to wake your soul up 6 different centuries. There's a toothbrush, technically, bone-handled, bristles like they were clipped off a broom that got fired. Next to it, a tin of tooth powder. You sniff. It smells like someone ground up a sidewalk and added mint as a joke. You dab, you scrub, you try not to gag. The cracked mirror offers little comfort. Victorian, you is still there, blinking back with an expression of grim resolve and mild horror. This version of your face has clearly dealt with more coal smoke and fewer moisturizers. The clothes waiting for you are both excessive and underwhelming. A starched shirt with enough buttons to qualify as a logic puzzle. Wool trousers that itch just by looking at them. A waistcoat that assumes you know how to waistcoat. And the shoes, sturdy, laced, and cruel in spirit. You dress slowly, trying to mimic confidence, like maybe this is just a very immersive escape room, and you'll get a prize if you button everything in the right order. There's no mirror full length enough to confirm what you look like, but the general vibe is awkward time ghost trying to hold it together. You take a shaky breath. Okay, you're clean, you're dressed, you're passing barely. You still don't know why you're here, how long this is going to last, or what happens if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person and get sent to a workhouse. But someone downstairs thinks you're supposed to be someone, and they're waiting. Time to act natural, whatever that means, in 1887. You descend the stairs carefully, as though they might vanish under your feet. Each step creaks like it's filing a report. At the bottom, a narrow hallway, a door slightly ajar, and the unmistakable smell of something fried in animal fat. You step into the kitchen. It's cramped. The ceiling is low. A kettle steams on the stove, and the air is thick with heat and salt, and something very faintly cabbage adjacent. At the table sits a woman in a house dress, apron dusted with flour, pouring tea like this is any ordinary morning and not, say, a metaphysical crisis. She looks up. You've washed then, she says, not unkindly. Sit before it gets cold. You sit. There's a plate, on it, a slice of toast that could double as roof tile, a small knob of butter, an egg with a hairline crack, and what you're fairly certain is fried pork, or some relative of pork. A mug of tea is placed in front of you with the solemnity of a court summons. You take a sip. It's strong enough to remove paint. You try to say thank you and hear your voice come out weirdly formal, like you're impersonating someone who impersonates Victorians for a living. She squints at you. You're not coming down with something, are you? You shake your head too quickly. No, just tired. It's not a lie. Best be sharp, she says. The shop won't run itself. The shop? Sure, of course. You nod as if this makes perfect sense. Maybe you work in a shop. That tracks. You glance down at your waistcoat, like it might have a name tag. It does not. You chew the toast with commitment. It tastes like smoke and survival. The egg, miraculously, is edible. The fried thing is chewy. But you eat it, because Victorian. You apparently has a job, and the last thing you need is to pass out from hunger in the middle of 1887. You finish your tea, managing not to choke on the loose leaves swirling at the bottom. You stand up. The woman, your landlady, your aunt, your time-assigned roommate, hands you a small cloth-wrapped parcel. "Lunch," she says. You take it, nodding like someone who's absolutely prepared to fake their way through a workday in the 19th century. Let's hope Victorian. You knows the way to the shop. You step outside, and the first thing you notice is the air. It doesn't move the way you're used to. It sits, heavy, damp, and laced with coal smoke, horse sweat, and the faint, unsettling tang of industrial optimism. The street is cobbled and slick. A cart rattles past, wheels wobbling, the driver shouting something indecipherable about turnips. A boy in a cap darts by carrying a basket full of newspapers and probably tuberculosis. Across the road, a woman in a bonnet lifts her skirts daintily to avoid a puddle that is either water or soup or both. You clutch your mystery lunch and try to look like you belong here, whatever here is. Victorian London is loud in a hushed sort of way. Hoofbeats, bells, hawkers yelling about oysters at 8 a.m. The slow hiss of a chimney sweep lighting his pipe with complete disregard for anything flammable. You check your pockets out of instinct. Inside, a small coin purse, a handkerchief, and a folded scrap of paper with scrawled writing. You open it. It's a list. Unlock shop. Dust shelves. Record deliveries. Send note to Mr. Lowry. You stare at it like it's a puzzle. You're apparently employed. You apparently have co-workers. And a Mr. Lowry, whoever that is expecting a note. Excellent. The shop is 2 streets over, according to Victorian muscle memory. You let your feet guide you, hoping muscle memory isn't just a polite term for guessing with purpose. The city moves around you. Layers of soot on stone buildings, black smoke curling from chimneys, men in tall hats debating nothing with great enthusiasm. As you walk, a man tips his hat at you. "Morning," he says. You nod. "Morning," you reply, trying to sound like someone who isn't trying to solve time travel with politeness and denial. At the corner, you spot a sign. Halbert's General Goods. The front window is dusty, the lettering uneven, but the door key in your pocket fits perfectly. You step inside. This is your shop. Apparently, there's a counter, shelves of things you can't quite name, a bell tied to the door that jingles threateningly. Well then, time to see what 1887 has in store for you, literally. The shop smells like dust and boiled leather, with a top note of things stored too long near a stove. There are shelves, many shelves, lined with jars, tins, folded fabric, and tools whose purpose you couldn't guess without an instruction manual, which of course doesn't exist because this is the 1880s and everyone just apparently knows things by osmosis. You step behind the counter like someone who's definitely done this before. There's a worn ledger, an ink pot, and a quill that looks like it was last cleaned during the reign of Henry VIII. You stare at the ledger. The handwriting is yours, sort of. Neat, careful script. Each sale itemized with tiny flourishes. Soap, buttons, lamp oil, bread. No helpful notes like, "Remember, you're from the future." The bell above the door jingles. A customer. A woman steps in, wrapped in a shawl and expectation. She gives you a look, familiar, bored, mildly expectant. "Just the usual," she says. You nod, because saying, "What's your usual and who am I to you?" feels like a bad opening line. You retrieve a wrapped parcel from beneath the counter, and miraculously, it seems correct. She pays you with exact change, and you make a note in the ledger with as much dignity as one can, while internally screaming. Next comes an older man looking for twine, a small boy demanding boiled sweets, and a labourer who buys something labelled liniment, with a grin that suggests it's either medicinal or highly questionable. You survive. You make change with unfamiliar coins. You wrap things in brown paper with far too much string. You say, right then, and that'll be sixpence. Like a local, you are, against all logic, running a Victorian shop. Somewhere between dusting the window display and restacking a pyramid of soap, you start to think this might be how you live now. Selling buttons and boot polish, writing careful ledgers, sending notes to men named Mr. Lowry. You glance toward the door. No one's noticed anything. Not the odd pauses in your speech, not the flicker of existential dread in your eyes. As far as they know, you're exactly who you're supposed to be. And for now, that'll have to be enough. Mid-morning light filters through the dusty shop windows, and you finally remember the list, that last item. Send note to Mr. Lowry, because apparently Victorian you communicates not with texts or DMs, but with handwritten correspondence and people who actually knock on doors. You find paper in a drawer under the counter, slightly yellowed, faintly musty, and trying very hard to be taken seriously. There's also a nib pen, the kind that requires dipping into an inkwell every 4.5 words. It's like trying to write with a feather that's holding a grudge. You hesitate over what to say. Hi, it's me. I woke up in your century and I'm winging it. Probably not. Instead, you stick to the classics. Mr. Lowry, the new oil tins have arrived. I will set 3 aside as discussed. Payment may be sent Thursday. H. Apparently that's you now. H. You wonder what it stands for. Hopeful, horribly lost. Having a minor time travel crisis. You fold a note and slide it into an envelope. No stamps, no addresses. Just a plain slip of paper and blind trust in whatever messenger system exists in a city still lighting streets with gas. As if on cue, a boy appears at the door, barefoot, freckled, possibly 12, definitely unimpressed. Note for Mr. Lowry, he asks, holding out a soot-smudged hand. You nod, hand it over like you've done this 100 times. He vanishes before you can offer a tip, which is good, because you're not entirely sure what a shilling looks like. You stand there, unsure what happens next. Do you wait for a reply? Will Mr. Lowry show up in person? Is he expecting a handshake, a bribe, a duel? You have no idea. But the task is done. One Victorian thing successfully completed. You, a citizen of Wi-Fi and water pressure, have just dispatched a handwritten business message like a proper resident of 1887. A strange calm settles in. You're not thriving, exactly, but you're surviving. And somewhere in this soot-covered city, Mr. Lowry is reading a note from a person who no longer exists. The bells chime noon, somewhere out of sight but unmistakably smug about it. The shop has quieted. You haven't had a customer in 15 minutes, which in Victorian retail terms apparently means it's time to close for lunch. Revolutionary. You retrieve the small cloth-wrapped parcel from your coat pocket and stare at it like it might hold the answers, or at least a protein bar. You sit on the shop's back step and carefully unwrap it. Inside, bread. Just bread. Thick, dense, emotionally distant bread, and cheese, dry, firm, and somehow older than you. There's also an apple, slightly bruised, which is frankly the most optimistic part of the meal. You eat slowly, not because you're savoring it, but because chewing feels like an activity here. The back alley is narrow, cobbled, and just wide enough for two men to argue over whose cart has the right of way, which they are currently doing, loudly, with accents thick enough to require subtitles. You try not to listen, but it's hard to tune out phrases like, "I'll knock you to Derby," and "Your wheels ain't square, Thomas." Somewhere nearby, a steam whistle screams. You flinch because your ears are used to emails and Slack pings, not mechanical banshees declaring lunchtime. The city around you keeps moving. Boys dart past with telegrams. A dog sniffs a puddle with deep regret, and smoke rolls gently out of chimneys as if the buildings themselves are exhaling stress. You glance around, hoping, just faintly, that something will shimmer, or glow, or pulse with modern magic. A portal, a glitch, a helpful narrator offering a way out. Nothing, just the city, loud, dirty, alive. The bread is gone. The cheese is trying to become a new texture. You brush crumbs off your borrowed trousers and try not to think too hard about food safety in a century that doesn't refrigerate milk. You head back inside, bell jingling behind you, the shop dim and quiet once more. Lunchtime in 1887 has passed. You are still here, still pretending. And the afternoon has just begun. The afternoon drips by, thick and slow, like molasses reluctantly leaving the tin. You're back behind the counter, doing your best impression of a 19th century shopkeeper who isn't quietly unraveling with every tick of the clock. The customers arrive sporadically, each one a new pop quiz from the universe. A middle-aged man wants 6 feet of stout cord. You give him 3 different options before he picks one without explanation. A young woman asks if the buttons came in. You nod confidently and hand her a tin of buttons you found in a drawer, praying they're the right ones. She smiles. Success? Maybe. Then an elderly woman enters, wrapped in more shawls than seems reasonable, holding a bag of what appears to be bones. "For the broth," she says, as if that clears anything up. You nod solemnly. This feels like a moment for solemn nodding. Between customers, you fidget. You dust things that probably don't need dusting. You reorganize the same shelf 3 times. You reread the ledger to make sure you're not inventing fake transactions. You are not. Victorian. You really did sell this many candles. At one point, you tried to write something down. Just notes to yourself, anything useful. But your hand cramps around the quill, the ink smudges, and your modern cursive looks like you've suffered a mild possession. The room feels smaller now, tighter. The walls aren't moving, but they're considering it. The smells, stale biscuits, old wool, coal tar, are starting to braid together into something truly aggressive. You try to breathe. You remind yourself you are still alive. This is still technically a Tuesday, but the fear creeps in anyway. What if you're stuck here? What if no one's looking for you? What if this is the rest of your life? Buttons, ledgers, dusty shelves, lukewarm tea. And what if Mr. Lowry writes back? The door creaks open again. Another customer. You put on your Victorian face, straighten your absurd collar, and try not to think about tomorrow, or your actual life, or your inbox quietly exploding somewhere in the future. For now, you're still passing, still pretending, but the cracks are starting to show. The bell above the door jingles again, softer this time. A boy walks in, the same one who delivered your note this morning. He hands you an envelope, grins with the confidence of someone who's seen too many chimneys, and vanishes without a word. The envelope is thick, cream-coloured, and sealed with a wax stamp bearing the letter L. You stare at it like it might hiss. It doesn't. It's just a letter. You break the seal. Dear H, much obliged for the prompt notice. As always, your diligence is appreciated. If you've time this evening, I'd like to discuss an opportunity that may suit your talents. Call at the workshop after close. Your usual route will suffice. Lowry. You read it 3 times, slowly, carefully. An opportunity. Your talents. Your usual route. There's a strong implication the Victorian you has a routine, a relationship, and, more alarmingly, reputation. You set the letter down with all the casual energy of someone handling a live bird. The afternoon passes in a fog of overthinking. What kind of opportunity? Is Mr. Lowry your boss? A friend? A criminal? All 3. He sounds like someone who wears gloves indoors. More customers drift in. You nod, sell things, keep up the performance. Every time the bell rings, your spine stiffens just slightly. You can't help it. You are now someone with engagements. By the time the gas lights flicker on and the city outside dips into that distinctive Victorian murkiness, damp, shadowy, and full of ominous footfalls, you start mentally preparing for a meeting with a man you've never met, in a workshop you've never seen, along a route you definitely don't know. But apparently, you do. Or, you're expected to. The letter is folded back into its envelope, stashed in your coat like a plot point. You lock up the shop. You pocket the keys. The street outside welcomes you with fog and the unmistakable sense that someone, somewhere, is already walking toward the next part of this day. And unfortunately, that someone is you. You walk through the fog, clutching your coat tighter than necessary, trying to look like someone who absolutely knows where they're going. The street lamps cast a pale yellow glow that makes every shadow look like it's up to something. The air is thick with coal smoke, wet cobblestone glisten, and the occasional waft of questionable stew. According to your instincts, which are currently working off vibes and Victorian muscle memory, you make a left near a newsstand, a right past a fishmonger with a 1,000-yard stare, and stop in front of a low brick building with a crooked sign, Lowry and Company. Mechanical services and repairs. The and Company is optimistic. You knock. A pause. Then the door creaks open with a theatrical slowness that suggests either dramatic timing or rusty hinges. Inside, brass fittings, half-assembled contraptions, the occasional puff of steam. The smell is oil, dust, and quiet obsession. "Ah, there you are," says a man from behind a workbench. Mr. Lowry is tall, sharp-featured, and dressed like a pocket watch brought to life. Vest, cravat, fingerless gloves. He doesn't rise. He gestures instead to a stool. You sit, mostly because it would be suspicious not to. "I've a mind to take on that custom order for the solicitor's office," he says, holding up what appears to be a mechanical ledger that hums softly. "But I'd need your hand for the alignment." You nod, very carefully, as if alignment is a thing you understand, and your hand is somehow essential to it. He chuckles. Not lost your knack, have you? No, you lie, with confidence that surprises even you. He turns back to his tools, clearly satisfied. Thought as much. If you've the time tomorrow, stop by. I'll have it ready for fine adjustment. Then, after a pause, and if you've not had word yet, I hear the magistrate's clerk is hiring. Something quieter. You nod again, filing away magistrate's clerk as something that might involve fewer gears and fewer ways to explode. You thank him, sincerely, because his trust is oddly reassuring, and step back out into the fog. The door closes behind you with a click. The street feels different now, not quite friendly, but familiar. It's getting late, and despite the strange comfort of Lowry's workshop, you're still very much stuck. No answers, no exit. Just one more walk through 1887. The walk home, if you can even call it home, is slower now. The adrenaline that's carried you this far is wearing thin, replaced by a vague, quiet awe. Victorian London at night doesn't sleep, it murmurs. The fog has thickened. Gas lamps burn like halos in the mist, casting golden pools of light that fade into shadow within a few steps. Your boots, sturdy stiff, slightly too small, thud against the cobblestones. Your breath makes little puffs of cloud. Everything smells like smoke and damp wool and distant toast. You pass a constable, his baton hanging loosely from his belt. He eyes you, then nods. You nod back, like this is totally normal and not a moment of deep existential anxiety disguised as polite eye contact. A woman walks past in a feathered hat and a coat so heavy it could stop a minor cannonball. She's humming a tune you almost recognize, something lilting, half-remembered, a lullaby, a hymn, a memory from a history podcast you listened to half asleep. You turn the corner, another. Your feet remember the route better than your brain does. That's becoming a theme. You move past the baker's shop, dark now, shuttered, but still faintly warm. The butcher's sign creaks overhead. A cat watches you from a windowsill like it knows everything and will never tell. Eventually, the house appears out of the mist. Your house. For now. You climb the steps and find the key in your coat pocket without looking. It fits. The lock clicks. Inside, the air is warmer. The faint glow of coals in the hearth. The creak of old floorboards settling. You hang your coat on the same hook you used this morning. Was that really just this morning? And step back into a room that is, by now, unnervingly familiar. There's no email, no phone, no news alerts. Just the tick of a clock and the soft hiss of something boiling very slowly on the stove. You stand there for a moment, not ready to sit, not ready to admit how tired you are. You've survived the day. You don't know how long this is going to last, but for tonight at least, you've made it back. In one piece. Still pretending, still unsure, still here. You sit near the hearth, legs stretched toward the faint, flickering glow of coals that are doing their best despite clear structural burnout. The room is dim, soft-edged, and warm in that dry, smoky way that says fire hazard more than cozy. You're still in your clothes. There hasn't been a moment yet that felt right for pajamas, assuming pajamas even exist here and aren't just glorified day shirts with a belt. So you sit, waistcoat slightly askew, collar loosened, boots off, socks warming by the grate. The fire crackles softly. It's the only sound. No hum of the fridge, no traffic buzz, no faint Bluetooth jingle from the neighbor's speaker. Just wood popping and shifting like it's talking in its sleep. You watch it for a long time. There's not much else to do. It's too dark to read, and you're not entirely sure what's appropriate. Victorian evening behavior, needlepoint, Bible study, staring directly into your own repressed emotions. You pick up the letter from Mr. Lowry again, unfolding it as if it might say something new the third time. It doesn't, but there's something reassuring about its formality, its confidence. This world, for all its grime and quiet violence, seems to believe you belong. That thought should scare you more than it does. You think about your real life, your real job, your real inbox, your apartment with the squeaky dishwasher and overpriced rent. You wonder what time it is there, if it's still Tuesday, if this whole thing is just a very long, very vivid dream, and if so, what's the wake-up plan? The coals dim. You poke them half-heartedly with a metal rod that might be decorative or essential. It's unclear. A new log would help, but you don't know where they're kept. And asking someone at this hour would involve explaining what you don't know, which is everything. So you let the fire fade. And for the first time today, you let yourself feel it, just a little. The weight of this place, the unreality of its details, the way your body is here but your mind is stuck between centuries. You are no closer to answers, but strangely, for the first time, you're not desperate for them. You're just tired, and it's almost time for bed. You climb the stairs like someone twice your age, slowly, carefully, your legs weighted with the quiet exhaustion of a day spent pretending not to be completely overwhelmed. The stairwell is dark. Your hand slides along the banister, worn smooth by countless others who did this same walk in the same boots, with the same tired bones. At the top, your door. You push it open gently, half expecting the illusion to crack, to glitch, to return you to your couch and blanket and half-finished noodle container. But no, it's still here. The same strange lumpy bed, the pitcher and basin in the corner, the little wooden chair that serves no discernible purpose other than haunting you silently, and the same brown wallpaper still clinging to the wall like it's hiding from the 20th century. You light the oil lamp on the nightstand. It flickers like it's considering a sick day, then steadies. The glow it casts is soft and yellow and somehow kind. You sit on the edge of the bed, the straw mattress crunching beneath you like a stern warning about posture. You take off your shirt with more confidence than this morning. You're not proud of that, but there it is. You fold it like someone who's been doing this for years, even though you're still not sure what half of your outfit was for. The boots come off, the socks, rough and damp at the toes, the waistcoat you only half understand. You place everything in a neat pile at the foot of the bed, like it might buy you some goodwill with the fabric-based powers that be. And then you sit again, this time longer, letting your body catch up to what your mind has barely processed. You should be panicking. You should be yelling into the ether. You should be fashioning a telegraph out of spoons and willpower. But instead, you lie back. The pillow smells faintly of starch and wood smoke. The blanket is heavy. The silence in the room is not empty. It's filled with distant carts, the muffled clop of horses, and the occasional creak from some anonymous neighbor moving through their own quiet life. You don't know what tomorrow brings, or if you'll still be here to see it, but your eyes are closing. And for now, this is all that matters. Sleep, when it finally comes, doesn't feel like falling. It feels like settling, like dust on a bookshelf, like something that's been waiting quietly all day for you to surrender. Your body sinks into the uneven mattress, which creaks once as if it's clocking out too. The heavy blanket presses down just enough to keep you anchored in this borrowed time, while the cool air on your face reminds you this isn't yours. Not really. Outside, the city softens. The gas lamps burn low. The last carts rattle by. Somewhere down the lane, a dog barks once and is answered by silence. The world quiets itself in layers, like it's being tucked in two. You hover somewhere between waking and dreaming, your thoughts unraveling like a spool knocked gently off a table. You wonder if you'll wake up in the morning. You wonder where that morning will be. Your brain replays pieces of the day in strange order. Mr. Lowry's workshop, the bell above the shop door, the smear of coal dust on your fingers, the taste of that dreadful tea. You think about the woman who handed you your breakfast like it was always your job to sit at that table. You think about how no one questioned your place in this world. And then your mind tries to latch onto your real life, your actual name, your apartment building, the corner bodega with the cat on the counter. But those things feel oddly muted now, like a song played through a wall, still there, just muffled. Maybe this is a dream, or a glitch, or a test you didn't sign up for. Maybe this is what time travel feels like, not lightning and portals, but long days and scratchy shirts and toast that fights back. The sounds grow fainter. Your thoughts blur. There's a warmth in your limbs now, a heaviness in your chest, not from fear, but from simple exhaustion. Whatever's happening, it's beyond you for the moment. You drift. And for the first time all day, you're not thinking about what you're supposed to do. You're just resting. You wake to light, soft, pale, hesitant light, filtering through linen curtains that hadn't been there the night before. There's warmth on your face, and for one full, unguarded second, you forget everything, who you were, where you were, what century you were supposed to belong to. You blink. You're still here. The ceiling greets you with its same water stain and faded paint. The air is still faintly cold, edged with smoke and morning bread. But something's different. The stillness, maybe, or the way your body feels less like a guest in this skin. You sit up. There's no bolt of panic, no immediate inventory check. Just a kind of gentle detachment, like watching yourself from 2 feet behind. You're still in the nightshirt. The coals in the hearth are dead. Outside, a cart wheels by. Its squeak now oddly familiar. You stand, stretch. Your joints creak in protest, Victorian style. You wash your face in the basin without flinching. You brush your teeth with the awful powder without wincing. You dress yourself without muttering curses under your breath. You're getting used to it, and that fact, more than anything else, is quietly terrifying. Downstairs, the same kitchen, the same smells, the same woman setting out the same plate of bread, egg, tea. She doesn't comment on your expression, but her eyes linger a second too long. You'll want to be out early, she says. It's market day. Of course it is, because time continues here, whether or not you're supposed to be part of it. You eat slowly. The egg is better today. Or maybe you've just stopped expecting taste. As you step outside into the early bustle of London, a breeze tugs at your coat. It carries something new. Less soot, more spring. You pause. A strange thought rises. What if this is it now? What if you're not going back? And then, immediately after, what if you do and forget this? You exhale slowly, watching it curl in the air. The day is waiting. You're still here. But for how long? The market is already half awake when you arrive. Stalls pop open like giant wooden clamshells. Vendors yell about things that are probably vegetables, though you wouldn't swear to it. Baskets rattle, coins clink, and the morning hums with a kind of energy that requires no caffeine, just a stubborn will to survive another day. You walk through it slowly, holding a list you didn't write, but somehow found folded in your coat. It says things like candles, 3, and salt, coarse, and buttons, brass, fine. You are, apparently, doing the shop's errands like a person who knows what kind of buttons are emotionally appropriate for the week ahead. You stop at a stall selling root vegetables and exchange a few coins for something knobby and beige. You nod like this transaction makes sense. You're not acting anymore. You're just doing. And that thought lands heavy. The crowd ebbs and flows around you. Women with baskets, men with carts, children darting like they're being timed. You pass a butcher hauling sides of meat, a man shouting about oysters, and a teenage girl who shoves a flyer into your hand. It reads, Public Lecture, The Modern Ether, Mysteries of Motion and Mind. You stare at it longer than necessary. It means nothing. Or maybe it means everything. A bell rings somewhere. A flock of pigeons explodes from a rooftop like startled confetti. You find yourself standing still in the middle of it all, stuck between movement and meaning, rooted not in place, but in time. And then it hits you. You haven't checked the sky for planes. You haven't looked for a phone signal. You haven't whispered, "Is this a dream?" in hours. You've just lived. Not well, not comfortably, but convincingly. The list is still in your hand. The coins in your pocket feel heavier than before. The city moves around you, unconcerned with your existential pause. You keep walking. You have more to buy, more things to carry back to the shop. And somewhere in this market, maybe, the answer is waiting, tucked between the cabbages and the candle wax. Or maybe not. Maybe this is the answer. By the time you return to the shop, the sun has begun its long, slow descent behind the chimney stacks. The city glows in slants, light ricocheting off soot-streaked windows, catching in puddles, warming the edges of worn bricks. Even the dust in the shop seems to float with purpose. You place your parcel of market goods on the counter like someone who's done it 100 times. You unpack the candles, the salt, the brass buttons, which now feel less mysterious and more like just buttons. You stack everything neatly on a shelf and cross off the list with a stub of pencil found behind the till. There's no customer rush, no surprise telegrams, just the quiet tick of a wall clock and the creak of wood settling into evening. It feels almost peaceful. Almost. You lean on the counter fingers drumming without rhythm. There's a pull inside you, not panic, not quite, but a tug toward the idea of release, the possibility that you're not here by accident, that maybe you're not here to solve anything. Maybe you're just here. You think about your apartment, your phone, your job, your life that waits or doesn't beyond this century. It's all still there, right? Unless it isn't. Outside, the street lamplighters are making their rounds, poles lifted, flames catching in the glass globes with a gentle pop. One by one, the lamps blink on, like stars you can almost reach. You exhale, deeply this time, the kind of exhale that signals a shift. Not an answer, but a surrender. You're not giving up, you're giving in, for now. You light the lamps in the shop, you sweep the floor, you straighten the display with care. These actions, once awkward, now feel like habit, not foreign, just quiet. And when you turn the sign on the door to closed, it doesn't feel like pretending anymore. It just feels like something that needs doing. You lock the door, tuck the key into your pocket, and step back into the twilight of 1887. Not running, not resisting, just walking. The streets are quieter now, less business, more shadows. The carts have thinned. The children have gone inside. The air carries fewer shouts and more footsteps. You step into it like entering a warm bath, hesitant, cautious, but not resisting anymore. The fog rolls low along the cobbles, folding around your ankles like a curious pet. Gas lamps glow through it, soft and golden, turning corners into mysteries and familiar routes into storybook scenes. The city, for all its noise and grit, feels hushed, reverent, like it's holding its breath with you. You don't know where you're walking, not exactly, but your feet seem to. You pass the same baker's window, now dark, the same lamppost that leans slightly to the left. A cat darts across your path and disappears through a gate, tail flicking in farewell. Your coat rustles with each step, your breath fogs the air. Somewhere in the distance, a violin is playing, faint, lilting, maybe real, maybe imagined. You slow down to hear it better. It fades in and out like a memory being remembered by someone else. It's beautiful here, not in the clean, curated way, but in the messy, lived-in way. The cracks, the soot, the hand-lettered signs, the echo of boots on stone, all of it feels strangely honest, like the world isn't trying to impress you, it's just doing what it does and letting you witness it. You reach a small square with a bench. You sit. The wood is damp and cold, but it grounds you. You look up at a sky made of cloud and smoke and fading color. No stars yet, just layers. You don't know how long you sit there. The minutes blur. The air gets colder. But you don't mind. Because this moment, is the first time all day you haven't been anyone. Not a shopkeeper, not a time traveler, not someone pretending. Just someone here, watching the city go quiet. And for once, there's no urge to solve it, no instinct to escape. Just fog, just light, just you. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. The room welcomes you like it knew you'd be back. No surprise, no ceremony, just the familiar weight of the air, the dull creak of floorboards under tired feet, and the faint scent of smoke still curling in from the hearth. You close the door behind you, gently this time. There's no rush. The day is finished. Your coat hangs itself without protest. Your boots come off more easily now, like they've grown used to your rhythm, or you to theirs. You move through the motions of undressing, folding your shirt, shaking out your trousers, slipping into that odd, soft nightshirt, as if it were your second skin. You sit on the edge of the bed and glance around just once more. The basin in the corner, the cracked mirror, the chair that still hasn't explained its purpose. It's all still here unchanged, but you are not. You slide under the covers. The straw-stuffed mattress doesn't feel as foreign now. Still firm, still slightly suspicious, but familiar in a way that quiets you. The room glows softly from a single oil lamp. It flickers faintly. You don't bother extinguishing it right away. You lie there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling that greeted you this morning. And that's when it hits you. You're not afraid anymore. Not of the time, not of the people, not of the strange, winding path that brought you here. The fear has dulled, or maybe it just settled into something smaller, more manageable. Curiosity with a coat on. You don't know what comes next. If this continues, if you wake up here again, if you ever wake up anywhere else. But tonight, it doesn't matter, because this day, long, strange, and absurd, was lived, not just survived, but lived fully. Even if you never understand it, you reach over, snuff the lamp, and for the first time since you woke up in this impossible year, you fall asleep not searching for the way back, but content to simply rest. You wake to warmth. Not just physical warmth, the air is soft, still, and taste of nothing, but a quiet, unmistakable familiarity. There's no coal smoke, no creaking wood, no scratchy wool wrapped around your limbs like a historical reenactment. Your bed is soft, your sheets are cotton, your pillow smells like detergent and sleep, not starch and survival. You blink up at your ceiling, flat, white, entirely uneventful. The faint hum of a nearby refrigerator sings its dull electric lullaby. You're home. Really unquestionably, boringly home. You sit up slowly, half expecting something to be wrong, but everything is precisely as you left it. The empty takeout box, the crumpled throw blanket, the gentle blue light of your phone charging on the nightstand. You pick it up. Notifications flood the screen. Emails, messages, weather alerts. One from your boss reminding you about a 10 a.m. meeting. You stare at it all like you're being reintroduced to a language you used to speak. You check the date. Still Tuesday. No time has passed. Or maybe all the time has. You move to the mirror. The face that looks back is yours. Modern, un-Victorian, slightly pillow creased. You lean in. No soot. No starched collar. No strange weight behind the eyes. And yet, you feel different. The memory isn't fading. It's not fuzzy. It's clear, vivid. The way your fingers fumbled with brass buttons, the clink of coins in your coat pocket, the hiss of steam from Mr. Lowry's strange contraptions, the way the fog wrapped around your ankles like a secret. It's all still with you. You sit back on the edge of the bed and just breathe. Slowly, fully. You don't know what happened. Not really. You don't know why. You don't know if it'll happen again. But you do know this. For one quiet, smoky, inexplicable day, you lived someone else's life, and it changed yours. Maybe only a little, But maybe that's enough. You stand, stretch, shuffle toward the kitchen, and somewhere, far off in the folds of memory and maybe dreams, a bell above a shop door jingles one last time.